Good afternoon and welcome to the Landmarks Conservancy's Chairman's Award. It's a pleasure to have you with us. I'm Peg Breen, president of the New York Landmarks Conservancy. The Chairman's Award was established in 1988 to recognize companies, businesses, and individuals who've helped to protect the city's remarkable architectural legacy. We have another group of outstanding honorees this year. This is the Conservancy's 50th anniversary, and we are proud and grateful to have made it this far. Along the way, we've developed a range of financial and technical programs that have helped property owners throughout the boroughs. We commissioned groundbreaking studies that show that preservation has an economic value to the city, and we've become a reasoned voice for preservation. Here is a brief look at our work. The Landmarks Conservancy has preserved and protected New York for 50 years. We helped New York recover in past emergencies, and we're doing our part to help the city's recovery now. Our grants and technical assistance helped buildings in Lower Manhattan damaged on 9/11. We saved the survivor's staircase at Ground Zero. It's now featured in the 9/11 Museum. After recent hurricanes and earlier superstorms, our emergency grants helped nonprofits repair damage and reopen. We've loaned and granted some $62 million through the years, contributing to some $900 million in total restoration projects. Since the pandemic, we've loaned and granted almost $8 million to homeowners and nonprofits throughout the boroughs, and that's leveraged over $100 million in total projects. We're helping religious institutions in underserved communities with everything from conditions assessments to repairing roofs. Our loans are helping homeowners throughout the boroughs repair their buildings' exteriors. Callie Janoff received a loan for work on her Brooklyn brownstone several years ago. She's been a friend and proponent ever since.
You know, being a landlord in New York City is not for the faint of heart. Being a homeowner in New York City is also not for the faint of heart. And so it's really incredibly difficult to find people to trust.
Janoff learned she could trust the Conservancy after our staff helped repair her stairs, restore the entryway, and even obtain a state homeowner tax credit for the work.
I loved working with the team, and we had such an incredible experience. It's like finding gold.
Our Sacred Sites grants have helped more than 840 religious institutions of all denominations. We worked with Mother AME Zion Church in Harlem on a major roof repair.
I am theologically and seminary trained. I know nothing about building repair, but thankfully the Conservancy knows the people, put us in contact with the people to do what needed to be done here, and we could not have done that alone.
Landmarks are important to communities throughout the city. Historic districts are drawing cards for tech companies, women and minority-owned businesses. They're attracting residents and tourists. As New York continues to recover, these historic areas will be economic drivers again. The city's landmarks anchor us, reminding us that New York has come through difficult times before. We're proud to be the New York Landmarks Conservancy, and we'll continue to preserve the city we love. There was no guarantee 50 years ago that we would make it till today, but we've been blessed with a talented and dedicated staff, with board members who cherish the city, and with board chairs who have steered us through the challenges. Please welcome our current board chair, Rich Garvey.
I'm especially proud to be part of this event during our 50th anniversary year and to welcome you here today. The Chairman's Award frequently serves to recognize achievement that melds the best of preservation and development. In thinking about that, I tried to consider the virtues that make it possible and concluded that one of the most important is imagination. Not daydreams or flights of fancy, but the ability to see the potential for restoration, reuse, and utility in the elements of our heritage that stand before us. Certainly, imagination is a word that can be applied to today's honorees. Can there be any doubt that Cheryl McKissack Dengel and her organization needed tremendous imagination to help bring LaGuardia Airport into the 21st century, all while the airport continued to function? Victoria Dengel and the General Society of Mechanics and Tradesmen provide information, education, and other resources that spark the imagination of artisans throughout the city and beyond. The imagination shown by Acheson Doyle and others in helping to realize the conversion of One Wall Street led to the receipt of our most prestigious project award, a Lucy G. Moses. And I know firsthand how Lloyd Zuckerberg has used his imagination over the years to find creative ways in which the Conservancy can pursue its mission in New York's ever-changing political, economic, and cultural environment. I'm a product of my times, closer to 1964 than 2023. Accordingly, I'm not the least embarrassed to offer my congratulations to the quartet of Imagineers we honor today. So long as we're blessed by their presence and the presence of others like them, I'm confident we'll all continue to enjoy the synergistic interplay of preservation and development. Thank you and enjoy the lunch.
It's a bit humbling to be bragging about a 50th anniversary when our first honoree is the 5th generation at the helm of a family company founded in 1905.
I do believe it's an honor. And, I have to pinch myself sometimes and say, you really are 5th generation in this business.
Cheryl McKissack runs the oldest minority and women-owned professional design and construction firm in the country. McKissack & McKissack was founded in 1905. Under her leadership, the firm's work has helped transform New York. From the new LaGuardia and JFK's Terminal 1, to Coney Island Hospital and Harlem Hospital, to designing the trading floors at JP Morgan's new Park Avenue headquarters. The firm's work has put Cheryl McKissack in the spotlight, with numerous awards and media attention. But success was not guaranteed.
I think starting any company in New York City is difficult, but particularly the construction industry because of all the regulations. The fact that it's a male-dominated industry, especially when I started back in the 90s. There are definitely more women today, but it's still male-dominated. It was very helpful to have a history, a legacy, portfolio of business.
McKissack says she was also helped by the city's MWBE requirements. She now helps other MWBE firms get started.
And so we spend a lot of time mentoring those firms. You can't get certified as an MWBE until you've completed X number of jobs. Where do you start? So we help firms with those first 2 or 3 projects to get them off the ground.
McKissack has also helped form a sister company focused on minority engineers. She's also worked on repurposing landmarked buildings like Moynihan Train Hall and Pier 57. She appreciates New York's architectural legacy.
These are the entities that create our culture here in New York. And, I'm just proud that we've decided to preserve that. When you go to other places like Dubai, there is no culture. Everything is new and beautiful, but there's no culture like you feel here in New York. That's what makes New York, New York.
McKissack wants to ensure that there's a 6th generation at the firm, and she's confident that New York will continue to build and thrive.
I have betted on New York. That's why we just moved into our new offices. And I see a lot of New Yorkers feeling the same way.
Cheryl McKissack has led McKissack & McKissack Construction since 2000. She mentors young minority and women-owned firms, and she participates in the good work of the New York Building Congress. Former Building Congress President Dick Anderson would like to toast her.
I am pleased to lead a toast, to Cheryl McKissack Daniel. Cheryl is extraordinary. In addition to being chair and CEO of the oldest minority women-owned design and construction firm in the country, she is a political activist, a humanitarian, and an exceptional community volunteer. Please join me in a toast to a wonderful New Yorker and recipient of this year's Chairman's Award from the New York Landmarks Conservancy. Cheers.
Thank you for this incredible honor and privilege of receiving the Chairman's Award. The preservation of the landmarks is not merely an act of nostalgia or a tribute to the past, but it's a testament to our commitment to honoring history while embracing the vibrancy of the present. It is through these landmarks that we find the delicate balance between tradition and progress, reminding us of the beauty that can be derived from the interplay of the old and the new. I am fortunate to run a business that has been passed down through 5 generations of my family. The legacy has given me the incredible opportunity to renovate and restore buildings that my grandfather built. Each renovation project becomes a personal connection to my family lineage, and it strengthens my resolve to preserve the structures for generations to come. Thank you once again for this incredible honor, and here's to embracing the spirit of preservation while keeping a youthful outlook on life. Together, we have the power to shape the future and preserve the soul of our city. Let us continue the work hand in hand, bridging the past and present to ensure that our architectural heritage remains intact for the benefit of future generations. Thank you.
We are honoring the entire team at Acheson Doyle Partners Architects for their outstanding work.
We have been blessed to have a variety of work of all different types, from preservation to zoning and air rights consulting, and everything in between.
Acheson Doyle was formed in the mid-'80s by 2 former Harvard roommates. Though multifaceted, it's known for its restoration skills and has worked on a variety of historic religious institutions, hotels, and clubs. The partners find that developers appreciate the economic value of preserving buildings.
They see that if they do it right, do it economically, that there's a real value to their buildings. So we've worked with developers who, frankly, 20 years ago would not have entertained the kind of preservation and conservation of components of their projects that they do now.
The firm also sees a larger value in preservation, especially of religious institutions.
The churches and synagogues are hiatuses in the urban fabric. Physically, they're remarkable buildings, and they do serve quite a civic function.
Acheson Doyle's club work includes a long-standing relationship with the Metropolitan Club. They are currently restoring its facade.
We find that a lot of the club buildings that we work on, club membership is very interested in the history of the building, the history of the institution. There's a lot of pride in those buildings. They're good clients to work with who care about their historic building and care about its preservation.
The partners remain optimistic that the city will keep a balance between preservation and new growth.
Unlike the national political scene, I think what's happened in New York is it's grown where the dialogue, for the most part, have gotten to a point where we can have civil discussions about what the value economically or neighborhood-wise or physically, what the values can be.
Having lived through 4 recessions through the years, the partners are also confident that the city will rebound again.
Preservation has been consistent, if you will. There was a downturn during the pandemic, but we're seeing sectors that aren't religious or historic in nature starting to come about, and so that's encouraging to us.
It's always been a draw for residents and visitors, and it seems like the economy here just moves with the times and always goes up.
To toast these skilled architects, we have another skilled architect among us, Sam White.
It is an honor to introduce Acheson Doyle Partners, particularly in this context. They have been in the kind of heart of the New York City preservation movement for 40 years. They've accumulated a portfolio that's worthy of admiration and, in my case, of envy. They have worked on some of the most important landmarks in our cities. Then there are the churches. There are so many churches. I mean, These people are either ecumenical or they are skillfully hedging their bets. So it's really a pleasure for me to introduce founding partner Mick Doyle. Through his accomplishments, he certainly deserves this recognition. Through his specialty, I would say he's probably going to be tempted to give us a short sermon, but let's all hope that he does not take up a second collection. Anyway, drink a toast to you, Mick. Congratulations.
I want to thank Chairman Garvey and the board of the Landmarks Conservancy for this incredible honor. Speaking for my firm, I'll say a few words about what's been our satisfying history of working on the fabric of New York City, the architectural heritage, and the cultural heritage. Peg Breen and her staff have been great collaborators. Ann Friedman with Sacred Sites, Blair Walsh, and of course Scott Lurquin, who I've known for many years. And with the Landmarks Commission, there's been a long history of our involvement over a number of commissioners. The relationship with the staff, though, has been what has been really rewarding. Not to downplay the commissioners, but often the commissioners would send us to the staff where we really collaborated and worked with them. They're an incredibly dedicated group of people. I think that architecture and engineering community in New York, that's been a real great part of it, because it's not, I don't want to make it sound like being in school, but it's great that you have colleagues to talk to, like Sam White and many others that we collaborate with, and find out what's going on, how they're attacking different problems, and how to move things along. So I just want to end with the hope that my partners and I will continue to support what I think we all agree is the intelligent preservation and development that the Conservancy champions. And we want to keep New York City a thriving economic place with a real mix of history, design, culture, and concern about the future. Thank you. Thank you very much.
The Mechanics and Tradesmen Association is another venerable organization formed in 1785. It's one of the oldest, if not the oldest, trade associations in the country. After a long run of male leaders, Victoria Dengel served as president and is now the executive director.
The General Society of Mechanics and Tradesmen of the City of New York was originally founded by 22 tradesmen. It was a mutual support society. And here we are 238 years later and still going, or as I like to say, going strong and thriving.
The society is housed in an 1890 landmark building on West 44th Street, designed by Lamb and Rich.
It's a glorious delight for anyone who walks through the doors. I actually enjoy the reaction of people just feeling transported, recognizing the soul of the building, and it's a great relief to people sometimes as well to see that something like this still exists.
The Society's original programs still exist as well.
The Mechanics Institute, since its founding, has been life-changing for those that have come here in terms of education. People know how to do something, but they don't know the why, so they come here to really deeply understand their jobs.
Many graduates of the Institute kept the city functioning during the pandemic.
The city was kept alive through the work of tradesmen, architects, engineers. We kept our own projects going on the facade. We never missed a beat.
The Society also offers a members' library that began in 1820, with archives going back to 1785. They have a robust lecture series that began in 1837 and continues to feature master artisans, architects, conservators, and historians. They also boast a world-renowned lock and key collection. It draws visitors from around the globe.
What we do is really what works.
Victoria Dengel inherited her appreciation of the Society from her father, the Society's 82nd president. Victoria was president herself before becoming executive director. Her father's photo is featured on a long wall of leaders through the years. Victoria is also proud to show a picture of her mother at a Society event. The members honor their long history. Plaques features the names of the founders and their professions.
We look back respectfully. If you don't look back with love on something, then you can't take care of it. You have to look back with love so you can look forward with love and understand what has transpired here for generations and that we are here at this point in time, and our duty is to carry it forward.
Rella Foliano is the association's vice president, but more importantly, she is Victoria's best friend since high school. And she's here for a toast. Rella?
My friend Victoria is loyal, generous, devoted, kind, intelligent, and strong. Don't be fooled by her ladylike demeanor. If you're going into battle, it's Victoria that you want by your side. Victoria is the embodiment of grace under pressure. She remains calm and focused in challenging situations. My favorite movie line is from It's a Wonderful Life. The angel Clarence tells George Bailey, "You know, George, the life of one man touches that of so many others." Well, Victoria, you've touched many lives and continue to do so. There is not a day that I do not thank God for sitting us next to each other in Mr. Quinn's sophomore English class. I love you very much.
I am so honored and grateful to accept this award on behalf of the General Society of Mechanics and Tradesmen of the City of New York. As a native New Yorker, it also means so much to me personally, but I'll get back to that later. I'm richly blessed to be a part of an organization that throughout its evolution has made important and history-changing advances in education and philanthropy, and which continues to support and advance the work of the men and women of the building trades. I recently read the words of John Adams, our 6th President of the United States, who said, "If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader." One can visualize the Mechanics Institute in his words. Thank you to the artisans here with us today, whose hands have contributed to the preservation of New York's historic architecture, from the Statue of Liberty to the Park Avenue Armory, to the sacred sites across the city, and even to the angel mural pictured in this room, and on the invitation to the Chairman's Award. To conclude, on a personal level, this award means so much to me as a native New Yorker. I'm so grateful to my magnificent parents, Gerard and Frances Dengel, who taught us how to love and appreciate our great city through countless educational and entertaining trips around it. My parents' intelligence, enthusiasm, curiosity, and grateful existence truly brought New York City to life for us, and it's a place that I continue to love. Almost from as early as I can remember, my father told me I was born rich because I came into a city and a world where so much already existed. Infrastructure, libraries, universities, and museums. Of course, through his involvement and example, he also drew my attention to the General Society of Mechanics and Tradesmen and the good work of the society. Clearly, it never left me. Over time, I would come to understand that with such an inheritance would also come the responsibility of making sure it would be preserved for generations to come. Thank you again to Peg Green and the New York Landmarks Conservancy for this honor.
At our 40th anniversary Chairman's Luncheon, we honored former Conservancy chairs. So we thought it was appropriate to do the same on this anniversary. We are pleased to honor past chair Lloyd Zuckerberg.
I'm a preservationist through and through.
Lloyd Zuckerberg is passionate about preserving New York. He currently chairs the Conservancy's loan program, the Historic Properties Fund. It's helped homeowners throughout the boroughs.
The HPF gives people who own small landmark buildings the opportunity to engage in the important work of preservation in a way that beautifies and enhances their neighborhood, something very important to them.
Lloyd also tackles citywide issues as chair of our Public Policy Committee. A developer himself, he manages to maintain good relations even when we disagree on a project. This Warren and Wetmore building that complemented Grand Central was torn down to build One Vanderbilt. As the historic building was being demolished, Lloyd convinced S.L. Green to save much of the elaborate terracotta decorations and ship them to institutions Lloyd identified who would use them. As super talls rose in Midtown, Lloyd walked 57th Street and drew up a list of suggested landmarks that we submitted to the city's Landmarks Preservation Commission. Lloyd's devotion to preservation extends to family vacations. His daughter Hannah documented a recent summer when Lloyd put his mother, wife, and children in a van to drive across the state. Visiting Buffalo turned into a giant architectural lesson. They even stayed at a historic hotel. But there can be too much of a good thing. Lloyd is never tired of architecture. He relishes grappling with preservation and land use issues, and he's bullish on New York.
In fact, I found a really interesting article from Cranes which talks about, can New York ever come back? And it talks about rising crime. It talks about people moving out of the city because of the lack of affordable places to live. It talks about homelessness. It talks about all these things. I think it was written in 2002. So here we are 20 years later. And I think the takeaway from that is don't bet against New York.
Former Chair Frank Ciani has a toast.
As soon as Lloyd joined the board, we knew that we had a future chairman, a future great chairman, that is, and we were right. Lloyd has preservation and architecture, classical architecture, in his DNA. It has been an honor to get to know you, and I toast you for your dedication to the New York Landmarks Conservancy and your unwavering passion for historic preservation to a pillar, a classical pillar of the preservation community, Lloyd Zuckerberg.
Thank you, Frank, for that lovely toast. You've been one of my mentors on this board, and I'm grateful for that tribute. And thank you to all my friends and my family in this room and some who couldn't make it. My journey began as the result of one man in this room today, my father, Roy Zuckerberg. The weekend drives through our Five Towns neighborhood, looking at houses, trained my eye and taught me to pay attention to architectural details. I believe that the aesthetic quality of our environment affects us, and affects us deeply. There is ample evidence that people connect to physical places that make them feel good and contributes to their emotional and physical well-being. As Churchill said, we shape our buildings and then they shape us. I often remind people that development is not a four-letter word, but neither is preservation. The Conservancy's mission is to promote preservation, not to prevent development. I am proud of the Conservancy's willingness to speak the truth when inappropriate development needlessly threatens neighborhoods, and in our ability to work with people to make their buildings better. The Conservancy is part of my life. I am truly grateful to my fellow directors and to Peg and the entire staff, both present and past, who make my involvement so meaningful. Finally, the future. This work never ends. The old buildings looking to mean something to new generations, the historic districts that tourists love to visit and that nurture families, and most important, the people on the front lines trying to protect the integrity of the landmarks law, and the people who came before them, who spent years working to create a city that nurtures the well-being of its citizens while conserving its history. We've got plenty of work to do, and I'm raring to go. Thank you very much.
Thank you all so much for coming. Please feel free to take the orchids at your table. And thank you again.